Howdy folks and welcome back to my YouTube. I am your host, the Mighty Bjorn, and today I have for you a video review of Dead by Daylight. I'm going to give you some gameplay here and talk a bit about the game. What you have here is a game from a Canadian independent developer called Behavior Interactive. They've made a pretty interesting game here as you run around as a killer, killing people. It's a survivor horror game, folks. It was introduced on PC in 2016. PS4 and Xbox One in 2017. It actually just recently in 2019 has been introduced on Nintendo Switch, and it is going to be on Android and ISO here soon in the fall winter of 2019. That's going to be actually a very interesting way of how they're going to do that. I'm actually very curious. So, we're going to talk a bit about the objective of the game here, and then I'm going to talk a bit about how I feel about the game, what I think is a plus, what I think is not so good, and kind of what I think is the middle of the road, not necessarily good, not necessarily bad. Anyway, so the objective of the game here is to do things to collect blood points. Blood points is used to upgrade your characters. And it doesn't matter, your blood points are not separated by killer or survivors. Example here, after this game, I actually upgraded Ghostface, which is not the killer I'm playing. I'm actually playing Michael Myers. And a little bit of my blood points went to Ash Williams, which is one of my survivors. So it doesn't separate between the two characters, or, well, the two classes of characters. There is multiple characters, there's multiple killers, and multiple survivors. And there's different outfits for both. The objective here, we'll go over the survivors first. Now you're seeing the killer perspective here, which is first person perspective. The survivor perspective is actually a third person perspective. Very different or very interesting how they did it that way. And it works out actually very good for how the game is set up. But the objective here for the survivors is to try and repair 5 generators, which is what you see these red things around here. These are the generators which the survivors are trying to repair. And then what I need to do is try and do damage to the generators to prevent them from actually fully repairing them. They'll also, once they're being chased, they're going to do things like run circles, jump through windows, knock down skids to stun me as the killer, things of that nature. Now I'm using one of my special abilities here, which is Stalk. And if I can get my Stalker up to 3, it's actually greatly improved. They're going to do things like hide, and basically, generally, they're going to try to troll me as the killer. Yeah, it's a game actually perfectly set up for trolls. We'll let that one go. Anyway, but so you got the objectives here of both the killer and the survivors at the same time. Now these red scratch marks on the ground is what I'm going to use to track the survivors, and then the idea is I'm supposed to stab them and throw them on a meat hook to be sacrificed to the entity. Also, with a certain ability, I can actually just sacrifice them myself. I don't have that ability. I've never actually tried it. I'm not even sure what it's called off the top of my head. Now, each different survivor has their own special abilities. Each different killer has their own special abilities. However, with the way the game's laid out, for the most part, a lot of the abilities are shared once you reach certain points of the game. Now, unfortunately here, I have 28 hours over a 6-month period. I play this game, I enjoy the game, I have a lot of fun with the game. The thing is I don't get a lot of time to actually play the game on a regular basis. So, yeah, 28 hours in about a 6-month period, that's actually pretty pathetic, considering that's actually only about 6 hours of gameplay a month. Sorry, 5 hours of gameplay a month. Made a mistake. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to break skids, damage the generators, things of that nature. Okay, we're going to talk about the different things I think is good, things I think is neutral, and things I think is bad. Good, in the realm of good, I would say the atmosphere, with the fog and things of that nature, and just the general overall look of everything. It makes it seem like a survival horror game. They did it. I give them an A+ for that. The fog is really great. The atmosphere is just amazing, actually, for what kind of game it is and how they've done things. The sounds, although the sounds can get a little weird at times, generally the sounds are fairly decent. Now, the next thing is I'm going to say in the realm of neutral is actually the graphics. Generally speaking, the graphics are not amazing. This is completely maxed out on an RTX 2070 video card. It looks pretty good, don't get me wrong. But honestly, for my hardware, I could run actually better games, graphically speaking. But if from an independent developer, and because of the atmosphere, I put this in the realm of neutral. And it leans more towards the good. Because while the graphics generally of something isn't necessarily good, like these rocks I'm running across or these hay bales, the atmosphere actually helps the overall graphic experience. Definitely. Also, the main thing is the character models, graphics wise, they look actually pretty damn good. And they're very functional. So you can tell what character looks like what survivor is who. The next thing I want to say is the balance. The balance goes in both directions. Now, generally speaking, the survivors are actually slightly more overpowered than the killer is for sure. And the big thing is there's 4 survivors. You have to deal with multiple people. Yeah, they got 5 generators to repair, but there's 4 of them. They can repair 4 of them at once, leaving down to just 1. The survivors can work with each other, things of that nature. Survivor abilities can sometimes be a little overpowering to the killer, especially a lower level killer versus a higher level killer. Things of that nature. Or sorry, versus a higher level survivor. Survivors also have more chances to make mistakes. Killers, you don't have a lot of chances to make mistakes. I know I made quite a few here during this game, and that's because this is actually my first game in about 2 months, honestly. And as I said, I don't have a whole lot of experience with the game. Some of the bad, I am aware of some glitches. I haven't personally seen any glitches, like graphic glitches. One I've seen is a killer actually, a survivor dropped a skid on a killer that was chasing them, and the killer actually got stuck in the skid. That's actually game breaking, because actually the killer was stuck in the skid for the rest of the game. Absolutely game breaking. The next thing that's a bit of a problem is the servers are a little wacky. I've actually had connection issues where I tried to connect to a game and couldn't connect to a game. Like it would load through and then it would just disconnect me from the server. And that's happened to me as a survivor as well. And actually that first survivor I sacrificed looked like they've probably had some connection issues, to be honest. The next thing that I feel is a bad side of the game is actually the community. The community can honestly be quite toxic, especially from the survivor side of things. God forbid you're playing a killer who is playing smart, such as this situation here, where they finally repaired all the generators and they got the exits open. So right now I am just sitting here guarding this guy to make sure he's sacrificed. And I got quite a bit of salt for it after the fact. Yeah, because that seems like a fair thing to do. Give the one guy against 4 salt because he played smart for one moment in a game. Whatever. So the community can be quite salty at times. If you can ignore the salt, it's not bad. Generally, if I get salt at this point, I just realized, oh, I must have played well as a killer. I did something smart. That's how I figure it anymore. But anyway, Dead by Daylight is available on Steam for $20 for PC. Now, generally, you can get the game on sale for less than that. I think I've actually seen it on sale 3 different times in like the last 6 months. It seems like every few months the game is on sale on Steam for about $10. I feel it's actually worth the $20. I feel it's well worth $10. It is a good game, generally speaking. That being said, though, that's actually going to wrap this up. I give it my 2 thumbs up. So hopefully there you go. You may check out Dead by Daylight, you may not, but at least hopefully you did watch this replay and hopefully you did enjoy it. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you for the next video.